Many of the tasks we amateur photographers need to do require consistency, a routine approach, and downloading images to our computer is pretty high on that list. Bridge can help us deal with both the routine and it can add consistency to a repetitive task. Now, when I place a media card into my card reader, as I've just done, the Adobe Bridge Photo Downloader automatically pops up on screen, and it even retains all of the settings that I last used. The biggest change I have to make is when I click the Browse button at the top right to add a storage folder for the current month. But once I've done that, it's set for the rest of that month, so I just plug in my card and click Get Media from the bottom right of this panel, and I walk away generally while my PC gets on with the job. Now, if for some reason the auto downloader doesn't pop up on screen for you, there's a couple of things you can do. The first is to go to this option in Bridge and choose to get photos from camera. Now, we're talking here about a card reader, not the camera, but it'll work for both. When I click that, the panel appears, and all I need to do is refresh here to bring the panel up on screen. But we do have another opportunity to adjust the autoplay settings so the panel does open up automatically for us. So let me close this down by clicking Cancel. I'm going to go down to my bottom bar, and in the search I'm going to put in autoplay. Autoplay settings is what we need. It's in the system. And as soon as we go there we can see what we're going to do when a memory card is put into my computer. And we've got a lot of options, but as you can see, if we select download images via Adobe Bridge, then as soon as we plug in that card, the downloader will automatically open. And in fact, we don't even need to have Bridge open to do this. We can do this directly from our desktop. Now, I've closed down Bridge and Photoshop, and we're looking at my desktop as I push in the card into my card reader, and the photo downloader will pop up. Now, it's quite possible that you will see this looking slightly different, because if you look at the bottom left, there's a standard dialog, which is this one, and an advanced. To be honest, I think the advanced is nice because at least we can see the images. So where do we start here? Well, I think we need to go to the Browse button first, because the location of the images where they're going to be stored is the most important decision we can make. Now, I think I may make a separate video on how I store my images, so I'll explain the why then. For now, let's just go through the process from the top. So clicking Browse, I'm going to go to the drive that contains my raw files. I'm going to go into my raw images. I'm working in 2025, so there we go to that folder, and it's currently March. So that's the address for these images. Raw images, 2025, month 3, select folder, and all I would do now is get media and they would be downloaded. But let's take a look at some of the other options, starting with the create subfolders. Now, practically all of the options we've got here are personal choices. From this drop-down list, my personal choice is the images are going to be downloaded to a folder with the shot date, day, month and year. I never rename my files, personal choice there. I don't have any need to preserve the current file name. I don't need to open Photoshop's Bridge because generally it will be open. It's not here for my demo purposes. I choose not to convert my images to DNG. I just leave them as their default raw. I definitely do not choose to delete the original files from the card. I'd like to do that a bit later in the camera with a format. And I do not save copies either. I choose to do that manually a little bit later, and this is another subject which we'll cover in a future video. Finally, down to metadata. As you can see in the basic metadata, all I choose to include is my name and my website for copyright. And once I click Get Media, well, you can see exactly what happens. Didn't take too long. It wasn't a very large shoot. Let's take a look in Bridge, see what we have. So when I open up Bridge and I navigate to my raw images, to the year 2025 and to March, there we can see the images we've downloaded. Now you'll notice here that the date says February. These in fact have already been downloaded into the correct folder, which is February. I've just used them again for demo purposes. But if I take you to my February folder and we look down here, you can see there's the folder of images, but what I generally do is leave the date in place, but I add a description of the place where the images were shot. So when I open up this, you can see all of the images that I downloaded. Now the one option we never looked at is down almost at the bottom left, because when the images first appear on screen, every one of these checkboxes is ticked. So we're selecting every single image on that media card. Now we can go here and uncheck them all. So if we just wanted to download 2 or 3 from one card and leave all the others on, we would have to check the ones we want to download. It's a personal choice of mine only, but I never do this. I think it has some dangers that we're going to miss things, maybe lose the odd image or two. I find for me it works best if I check them all, and I always download all of the images onto my computer. Yes, there are times when I may delete the odd file, like ones which are clearly a mistake, but we'll talk about that possibly in a future video too. So to bring this video to a close, I've got no Adobe programs open at all. I've just pushed my card into the card reader, and if it was later on in March, all I need to do here is click Get Media and walk away, because I know exactly where my images are going and everything is taken care for me. This is the routine we need to have.